just to clarify, that's like these crabs, not like these crabs. I just realised that wasn't clear. You can't say retarded anymore. It's not okay. It's not correct. It's offensive. Okay? The correct word is vaccinated. That's a thinker. That will come to you later. I was seeing a guy recently and I called it off. So I freaked out. You know, I didn't want any relationship or anything. And a couple of weeks later, I was like, how good is sex though? And so he had actually happened to call me on the same day for the sex. And I said, hey, I actually been mulling something over. I wanted to pass it by you. How would you feel about doing all of the sex things and none of the relationship things? And he was like, well, yeah, obviously. And I was like, he said, why didn't you ask me before? And I said, well, you know, I didn't want to put you in a weird position. I didn't want to be presumptuous. I didn't want to, you know, be rude. And he says, you know, I'm a guy, right? That was the punchline. And I was like, well, your story checks out. Great. I'll see you in 20 minutes. I'm not sure what right women who are this bigger think that all the men that they must date and they must talk to must be my height. That doesn't seem right, does it? That's unfair. That's greedy. I was recently watching a documentary about comedians, and I found out that apparently comedians are all broken inside, and that's why they get up on stage, and it's like a form of therapy. The comedy, you know, comes from this dark place, which makes them funny. And I turned to my friend, who's also a comedian, and I said, this doesn't seem right. I'm a relatively happy person. Nothing notable happened to me growing up to kind of mess me up along the way. She turned to me very solemnly. She turned off the TV, and she said, oh, Sarah, were you never molested as a child? And I said, no. And she goes, oh, God, I'm so sorry. She was absolutely horrified. So I think Nicki Minaj is just a real talent, isn't she? Just a lyrical genius, isn't she? Yeah. So in her song Rake It Up, she manages to do the impossible by rhyming China with China, and then she rhymes China with China again, and then get this, she rhymes China with vagina, and then she comes full circle and rhymes vagina with China. You guessed it. Fucking Grammys should be coming out of her wazoo. So people think I'm a lesbian sometimes. Obviously, I'm perpetuating the stereotype. So I used to work in a bar in London where I would wear a shirt and a tie, and I would get hit on by women all the time. And I was like, "Oh, fabulous! This is obviously my lesbian disguise, which I shall now wear to repel men." And sure enough, a man comes in and he says, "Excuse me, can I get your number?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, sir. I am quite obviously a lesbian, so there'll be none of that funny business tonight, sir." And he says, "I don't believe you." And I was like, "Well, I am wearing a shirt and a tie, sir. The lesbian starter kit, if you will, so I'm not sure where your confusion is." And he leans in and he says, "I tell you what, if you let me go down on you, I bet you I could change your mind and turn you straight." So I was like, firstly, what a gentleman you are. What a charming, charming man you are. And number two, oh, what a lucky girl I am to have such a generous proposal bestowed upon me at 2:00 in the morning on a Saturday. Thank you so much for thinking of me, you kind man. And then I said, number three, that's like me saying to you, and now come in real close like you did to me. That's like me saying to you, I tell you what, how about you come with me? I grab a strap on and fuck you in the ass and see if I can turn you gay. Thanks, guys. I'm Sarah Lawrence.